So recently I've been watching an anime called Dagashi Kashi. And it's a pretty good show, but what I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about today was actually character design. Specifically the character design of the arguably main character, Hotaru Shidare. It's a design that really hit home with me. Like, I had like a gut reaction to it the moment I saw it. And just on a visual level, without even actually knowing that much about the character herself. And what was great about it is not just that I was like, wow, this chick is incredibly attractive. But it's also because I got a very distinct impression from her design that was actually borne out when I watched the series itself. And I feel like when you can infer aspects of the character's personality just by the way that the artist has depicted them, you probably got at least a decent character design on your hands. But before we go any further, let me do a quick overview of what Dagashi Kashi is about for anybody who's not familiar with the show. Dagashi is actually basically just a word for Japanese snacks, little cheap snacks that kids can buy in a store. Stuff like lifesavers or whatever, you know, in the United States. And the story surrounds a small town Japanese Dagashi store that's visited by Hotaru in order to recruit the owner of that store, Yo Shikada, into her family's Japanese snack company. And in order for Yo to agree to do so, she needs to convince his son to take over the store, hijinks ensue, etc. So that's the basic premise, and it does a good job of setting up why Hotaru is so devoted to the concept of and consumption of Dagashi. But how does her visual design bear that out, and why is it so attractive in of itself? So, putting aside the matter of Hotaru's figure, which I think is about as a balanced appeal as you can get in anime, booksome but not too booksome, I think the best way to tackle this analysis is to go from the most striking and obvious features of her character design to some of the more subtle ones. And the only place I can really start here is with probably the first thing you notice when you first saw an image of Hotaru, her eyes. So in the language of anime visual design, non-standard eyes usually imply a non-standard person. And in Hotaru's case, we actually have sort of a spin-off of a separate eye type, which I just kind of refer to as the blank eyes. These are typically eyes that are dull, don't have much of a color gradient, and they don't feature a pupil. And they're usually used on characters who are either emotionally scarred or somehow damaged in such a way that they can no longer empathize with other people. Hotaru is a slight twist on that because while her eyes don't particularly have much gradient to them, the iris of her eyes, she does have a pupil, but it's extremely small and it's surrounded by concentric rings. And the visual impression that these rings give is almost like that of a spiral. So when you look into Hotaru's eyes for the first time, you get the impression of someone who is unhinged, that they're almost like in a daze, or they're incredibly focused to the point of mania. And just by looking at that alone, I could tell, and the show would eventually prove me right on this, that Hotaru was a very odd person. Moving on from the eyes, I think a lot of the power behind Hotaru's appeal also comes from her killer outfit. While it's more subtly informative than the design of her eyes, Hotaru's iconic outfit has just as much to say about her personality as it does her sex appeal. For starters, the outfit is practically a masterclass of design fusion. One look at the frills, the stark black and white contrast, the ribbons, even the dark rose motif on the headband, is all you really need to see the influences of the goth Lolita style. But the outfit on a whole never quite surrenders itself to fringe or niche appeal. Instead, it actually managed to maintain a cute, modern, and, at least while Hotaru is wearing it, sexy look. But what I think is even more impressive than the design mashup, which allows Hotaru to appear exotic but not quite eccentric, is how the author brings versatility to her core visual identity by subtly changing up her outfit, sometimes on an episode-by-episode basis. And what I mean by this is, although she always maintains the same basic silhouette and the same basic color scheme, and the same basic influences from fringe styles, they will do a lot of little things to completely change up what she's wearing. In one episode, she might be wearing a completely different shirt or a different dress. She might forgo her black frilly wristband for long gloves, or her laced heels for more gothic looking boots. Red bow in one episode, red tie in another. Each new outfit and element is distinct, yet still follows the same visual rules of Hotaru's standard outfit. As a result of this, sometimes it would take several scenes before I noticed that her outfit had changed at all, but the realization always felt rewarding. And the cherry on top of this whole thing is that this too is a perfect expression of Hotaru's mania. Because think about it, lots of anime characters only have one outfit, but in the case of Hotaru, this isn't a situation born out of laziness or limitation from the artist's perspective. This is a girl who has specifically gone out of her way to make an entire wardrobe of outfits which are distinct, but at first glance all look the same. That's some pretty crazy shit. Now, the last thing I want to talk about with regards to Hotaru's design admittedly doesn't say much about her character, but is pretty damn cool, so I wanted to fit it in here anyway, and that's her hairstyle. Now, the hairstyle itself isn't anything too amazing. She's got about shoulder-length hair, longish bangs. What's cool though is how the author brings out the versatility in that basic hairstyle. In one episode, she can tie her hair up in a ponytail, or in the other, she can pull her bangs back and she'll get a completely different look from that hairstyle, which not only brings out different parts of the character's personality, but also allows Hotaru to really seamlessly blend into the atmosphere or the attitude of any given scene. And that's really not something I see too often with anime characters. Generally, outfits and hairstyles tend to be fixed in stone, and I like the fluid nature that is employed through Hotaru while still maintaining the core identity of Hotaru. With all the care, charm, and delicious subtlety that went into Hotaru's design, I feel pretty confident in saying that I can't be the only one who found themselves immediately attracted to this character. And hopefully this video has at least partially articulated where some of that attraction comes from. Honestly, with the character design this good, it's almost not even fair. Going into Dagashi Kashi, it's basically a foregone conclusion who best girl is going to be.
店来るなら毎日入れてやってもいいけど